Right, I'd like to call our meeting to order and take this opportunity to welcome everyone to to our meeting, our public meeting this evening. Roll call. I believe both the clerk and Councillor Jobin will join us in about 10 minutes or so, and so we're going to march on. And first, before I start, I'd like to report that we had a closed meeting of council, and it was held at 4 p.m. in accordance with and as permitted with Section 239(2) CH and 3.1 of the Municipal Act 2001, which states that a meeting or part of a meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter relates to C, discussions concerning a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. And H, discussions concerning information explicitly supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board by Canada, province, a territory, or a crown agency of or any of them. And 3.1, education and training provided to the members. So at this meeting, council received information explicitly supplied in confidence to the municipality by Canada, a province, or territory, or crown agency. An update concerning proposed acquisition of land, and third and final, communications training. So before I ask everyone for a moment of silence, we've gone through our Remembrance Day ceremonies in the past week. And to keep in our thoughts, obviously, of our veterans and certainly all of our armed forces that are scattered around the world, as well as the conflicts both in the Middle East and also in the Ukraine. So keep those folks certainly in our thoughts. Before I begin, I'd like to do the land acknowledgement that we acknowledge that we are on the land and surrounded by water and originally inhabited by indigenous peoples who have traveled this area since time immemorial. This territory is within the lands honored by the wampum treaties, agreements between the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, Lenni Lenape, and allied nations to peacefully share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Specifically, we would like to acknowledge the presence of the Three Fires Confederacy, Ojibwe, Ottawa, Potawatomi, and Huron-Wendat peoples. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture with Huron-Wendat peoples, and we are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture while remaining committed to moving forward respectfully with all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. To the members, any disclosure of pecuniary interest on the agenda as presented to you today? None indicated. We'll have that reflected in the minutes. Move on to the regular minutes of the council meeting October 24th. If could I have a motion on those minutes? Councillor Houston moves. Councillor Higginson support. On those minutes, any errors or omissions? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Supplementary agenda? Oh, the special council meeting, okay. We do have also the special council meeting October 21st, the capital projects, roads and facilities tour. And if I got a motion on those, Councillor Higginson and Councillor Houston, on those minutes, any errors or omissions? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Thank you. We do have a supplementary agenda item. The past Deputy Mayor Bichetti, Councillor Houston, all in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Thank you. Consent agenda, members of council, as per the procedural bylaw 2023-076, all items listed under the consent agenda will be voted on through one consent motion. Number one, from our clerk's department, the proposed new legislative and clerk's administrative fees, as well as the public works, environmental services, appointment for drainage engineer for the Malden Road East drain. So if I could have a motion for both of those. Councillor Tonio, Councillor Higginson, on the motion, any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And so thank you for that. Move on to delegations, and our very first delegation is a representative from the War Amps, and it's Abel Walker. He is the 2023 War Amps National Ambassador, and Kevin Delaney, War Amps Regional Representative here as well. So please come forward to the delegation table. Oh, right here. I'm not quite ready to give up my job yet. Well, young man, that's quite an honor, national, and I see we have a representative here as well, but on behalf of all of us around the town council and certainly administration and all our residents, very proud of the fact that one of our own is recognized nationally. And with that, we certainly want to commend you and as being a great ambassador for yourself and your family, and for many others that have benefited over the years from the War Amps, who have been instrumental in helping young people, achieve their full potential. And to see here this evening, it gives us great pride to be able to present to you kind of a token of our appreciation, and also a certificate of merit to you. And we're going to ask you to come forward in a second. And I just want to read you the certificate. And it says, from Mayor and members of Council, we wish to congratulate Abel Walker on being named War Amp's 2023 National Ambassador. Welcome. This is a great quote as well, and something that you'll remember. It says, "Welcome every challenge, and I'm sure you have. Each one will help you grow into the person that you're meant to be." Wow, great words. So before I have you come up and take some pictures here, is there anything you would like to say to us?
Thank you, Mr. Merrill.
Mr. Mayor,
Mayor.
not a problem. You have mom and dad here? Dad? Yeah. You got a very nice young man there, and should be very proud of him. And I'm sure he is going to discharge his duties with a lot of passion and certainly a lot of courage, and and encourage a lot of our young folks across the country. It is a huge honor to be recognized, and maybe we can ask the representative, how we go about choosing the ambassador and what some of his duties might be.
Yes, we're very proud to have.
Press on the mic.
Yeah, thank you. We're very proud to have Abel, being recognized here today. Some of his chores are maybe not fully understood by him at this moment, but over the course of years and time, he will be a representative for us, for a number of kids who are born missing limbs or lose it to whether it be accidents or sickness, and pave the way for opportunities just like I had received, and hopefully he will and continue to receive. And we thank you for your recognition here today. Thank you.
And I'm a big supporter of the War Amps.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we'll have you come up to the middle here.
You're going to get a good picture for us, are you? Okay, perfect.
Congratulations, young man. Yeah, right there.
All right, if everyone want to look over here. Awesome, thank you. Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for having us. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for having us. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, welcome, Cynthia. I don't know if you can top this one, but
I'm always after these. What do I need to do? No. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for having me here. So on the agenda is the audit findings report for the last year on December 31st, 2022. And so the first report in the agenda from KPMG is our audit findings to help you as members of council discharge your responsibilities with the financial reporting process. I won't go through the details of the report, but in a few slides there is an audit highlight page, and I'll just give some brief comments right here is with respect to the audit. We are almost complete with the audit. We're just waiting for the legal letters to come back, and then subject to council approval, then we will finalize the financial statements. We did have the full cooperation of management, so I'd like to thank management for their cooperation. In the highlights, for your benefit, we use a materiality factor, so any errors and things like that. Materiality was $720,000 this year, and the calculations in the detailed report. But more importantly, based on that, we had no uncorrected nor any corrected audit differences. So what that means, that's good. When we get here, the books and records are clean and good financial order. As well, we had no internal control deficiencies to report. So anything, if we have any internal control deficiencies, we would bring that up to council to address with respect to the financial reporting. And really, the audit was pretty straightforward. There were no unusual transactions or anything like that. We did implement a new audit standard that we discussed with management. It's just around risk assessment, but had no issues with respect to that. And it effectively provides more professional skepticism with questions around risk and then internal IT controls. And then finally, in one of the appendices, it notes any change for future changes. So in 2023, management is working on an asset retirement obligation. That's a new standard. It's a pretty significant standard that will, instead of having any contaminated sites, it will have like any buildings that you have to look through your whole assets, your asset management system, and look for any assets that could potentially have asbestos. And then you have to have a specialist look and give a cost estimate to that. So there's going to be another liability on the books. Management is working on that standard and the number changes, so we'll audit that, and that'll be different next year. But they have been reaching out to KPMG, and they've been attending webinars, and so I think they're well on their way. So that's it with respect to the actual audit. And then the second attachment was with respect to the audited financial statements. So as I mentioned, we're in a position to issue our audit opinion. So it's on that next document over there. But just the first page is the internal independent auditor's report. And as I mentioned, it's an unmodified report. And just a few financial statement highlights on this consolidated statement of financial position. So I think there's probably a few more pages over there. Scroll. But overall, I'll do some general comments when we're getting past this. But overall, the town is in good financial health. You have 97 million. It keeps going there to the first page with the numbers. Thanks. So the town is in good financial health. You have total financial assets of $97 million, liabilities of $43 million, and then you have non-financial assets, which are your tangible capital assets of over $236 million. And at the end of the year, the accumulated surplus was $291,000, which was an increase of about $10 million. And on the next page is your statement of operations. So that's the 12 months ending December 2022. A total of $49 million, fairly consistent with the prior year. Expenses of $38 million, and then your annual surplus of $10 million. And you add that to the opening surplus of $281 million, leaving a surplus of $291 million. And then I think as the first page noted, note 9 to the financial statements does break that accumulated surplus down. A significant portion is $236 million is your tangible capital assets, but also most importantly is you have reserves and reserve funds of $68 million. So that's very strong. That's the reserves and reserve funds are up $8 million from 2021. So overall, very strong health, and those are the highlights to the statements, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions or certainly comments to our auditor? No question. Great job.
Great, thanks. Have a good evening.
Yep. Need a motion to receive the auditor's report. Deputy Mayor Abichetti moves. Councillor Jobin support on the motion. All in favor? Oppose? That is carried. I am having some technical difficulties with my computer. Number 2, I believe, Conservation Authority. I believe we have the Executive Director or the CEO of Essex Windsor Conservation Authority, Mr. Burney. Welcome.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council, staff, ratepayers, here this evening again we've been making the rounds to all member municipalities in response to a process that commenced with Bill 108, then evolved into Bill 229, and then late last fall, Bill 23. I'm really hoping that at the end of this year there's not another bill, because I don't know how much more of this we could take. These processes have us with Tecumseh as a member municipality of the Conservation Authority, Essex Region Conservation Authority. We're coming out to approach and looking for a resolution of support for a continuation to offer the services that we've been offering the municipality now since the formation of the Conservation Authority in 1973. The province has seen fit to identify and have conservation authorities recategorize the programs and programming it offers to its member municipalities into mandatory, which is Category 1. Category 2 is services offered to municipalities, the municipality's request. We have that arrangement with the town of Tecumseh with respect to RMO and RMI services for the Clean Water Act. And Category 3 services. Category 3 services basically are tree planting on lands other than those owned by the Conservation Authority, watershed stewardship and outreach, water quality programs, curriculum-based education programs, and operations at the J.R. Park Homestead and Holiday Beach, in addition to at-risk properties funding. So again, our levy will cover flood and erosion control and those mandatory services for natural hazards preservation and protection, and the non-mandatory is subject to contribution agreements with our member municipalities. I'd like to acknowledge the opportunity and the privilege that we've had to work with your administration. As a matter of fact, discussion with your administration helped us formulate the agreement ultimately that's in front of you this evening. That agreement was recirculated to all member municipalities. So far, we have had 5 member municipalities unanimously support signing on to that agreement. I also wish to acknowledge Deputy Mayor Joe Bucchetti and Councillor Tanya Jobin, who are our board members and are very ably and capably representing Tecumseh on our board, and I thank them for their service. I have a video tonight that pictorially demonstrates the programs offered by the Conservation Authority, and I'd like to play that for you, if I could right now, Your Worship.
Say hello to Symbiotic.
All right. Questions? Any questions to Mr. Burney? Then I do have the Essex Conservation Authority non-mandatory fee service agreement to deal with. Okay, it's moved that the report FS 2023-11 entitled Essex Region Conservation Authority non-mandatory programs and services costs apportioning agreement be received, and that a bylaw authorizing the execution of a cost apportionment agreement with the Essex Region Conservation Authority regarding the town's funding contribution for various non-mandatory Essex Region Conservation Authority programs and services for the four-year term, January 1, 2024 to December 31st, 2027, be prepared and considered for adoption at the regular council meeting of December the 28th. Oh, sorry, November. Sorry about that, Dan. On a motion. It's either way ahead or way behind. Moved by Deputy Mayor Riquetti, supported by Councilor Jobin. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Have a good evening. All right. Last but not least, Tourism Windsor, Essex Pelee Island 2024 marketing brand. And with us, we have Board the CEO, Lynette Bain, Vice President of Destination Development, and Jason Toner, Director of Marketing and Communications. And welcome to our meeting tonight.
Thank you, and I believe your title tonight is Mr. Mayor. So, and it's great to be your headline act tonight, and we promise to be more exciting than your audit. But it's indeed a pleasure to be with you, of course, Mayor McNamara, members of Tecumseh Town Council. You already introduced us, so we're here tonight to share with you how things are going and highlight some of our activities for 2024. We have a brief PowerPoint presentation we'll walk you through, followed by the playing of our new brand campaign video. This is the 5th of 10 council presentations across the region that we're doing this month. And we do it for a couple of reasons. First, it's part of our commitment to you to appear before you annually like we do. We want to make sure our elected officials are better informed about the work of our organization. And secondly, we want to provide you an opportunity such as this to ask any questions that you may have. So if we could please get started. Slide, please. There's our mission. Our mission, we're an accredited destination marketing organization as awarded by Destinations International, and we're the region's leading tourism industry collaborative, committed to enhancing the region's economy and quality of life. Our core functions are supporting industry development and individual operators, actively facilitating partner engagement, and effectively marketing our organization. Slide, please. There's our organizational chart. That is the team of 9 dedicated tourism professionals I have the privilege to work with every day. An important part of that team, I might add, Your Worship, is our Regional Tourism Committee. And you are ably represented by Brett Palmer, your Senior Manager of Recreation Services. He's a great collaborative partner, and we appreciate his leadership very much. Slide, please. We're governed by an 11-member board of directors. You can see on the executive, the County Council is represented by Mayor Crystal Malosh, who's our chair, and directors, Mayor Dennis Rogers and Warden McDonald. Slide, please. When we look back so far, what we accomplished together within the United Visitor industry, we had much to celebrate. Slide, please. Our areas of focus continued. Slide, please. That's it? Okay, that's it. So far we've done, that's it. Okay. Our areas of focus continue to be food and drink, arts and culture, outdoor adventure, and entertainment. Slide, please. We continue to use our Best of Windsor Essex Award winners as a must-see list of trip inspiration for ideas on where to go and where to visit. Slide, please. In April, we saw the return of our 9th annual Staycation Expo at Devonshire Mall and the relaunch of our We Heart Local program. Slide, please. In April, we also launched our new visitor guide. Our digital version is up 4% in page views. Slide, please. In June, we had a record attendance at our AGM with guest speaker Chris Bloor, President and CEO of the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario. Slide, please. At our AGM, we also launched our new multicultural food trail called Follow the Flavors. I know you're trying. There it is. It was worth waiting for. Slide, please. Partnering with Destinations Ontario, we spotlighted food and drink assets, which saw 45,000 clicks to our website. Slide, please. We also marketed to the U.S., harnessing our regional geographic advantage, primarily Michigan and Ohio, and which saw over 741,000 clicks to our website. Slide, please. In September, we also hosted 5 live U.S. radio morning show remotes from Caesars Windsor, with a combined listenership of over 3 million. Slide, please. Our summer events team, in partnership with our friends at Ontario Travel Information Centre, were out and about at about 41 activations across the region. Slide, please. A few weeks ago, we launched our new program called Crossroads Historical Guide, encouraging locals and visitors alike to explore our history and connect our rich and storied past with present day. Slide, please. Our organization was well represented at last week's Ontario Tourism Summit, which garnered us 2 finalist nominations and 2 wins for the Tourism Digital Marketing Award for My Happy Place campaign and the Travel Media Story Award for Blacktip Fishing, Fishing as a Kid video series. Slide, please. And a Lifetime Achievement Award for yours truly. Let's just hang on that photo for a while. Now I'd like to turn the presentation over to Jason.
Next slide, please. Where are we at now so far as an industry and as an organization? Our path to recovery has seen some growth. Next slide, please. Our social media reach is at 67.1 thousand. Next slide, please. Our social media platforms across the board continue to see positive growth in engagement. Next slide, please. Our hotel numbers are strong, and occupancy is up 16.7% year over year, and the average daily room rate has grown by about $12 per room. Next slide, please. Our website traffic has seen 2.1 million page views to date this year, and with an increase of 17% in unique visitors over 2022. Next slide, please. Our digital services providers have also provided over $500,000 in referral revenue to our partners. Next slide, please. And in 2022, we received over 4.4 million visitors who accounted for $669 million in tourism spending and helped support close to 10,000 jobs in our industry. I'll turn the presentation now over to Lynette.
All right, thank you, Jason. But tonight we also want to look at 2024 and what's happening there. We're just finalizing our 2024 Destination Development and Marketing Plan, and we have a few initiatives that we're excited to share with you tonight. Next slide, please. Oh, and next slide. I forgot that part. As we strive to be an inclusive destination, we will be working with our stakeholder partners so that they too, like us, can become Rainbow registered. Slide, please. With the welcome explosion of murals and sculptures adorning our streets and open spaces, we are currently developing a public art trail to launch next summer. Slide, please. And we will be expanding our influencer plan to bring in higher profile and US-based content creators. Slide, please. We will also continue to grow our image library with photography and video assets. Thank you, and I'll turn it back to you, Gordon.
Thank you, Lynette. And slide, please. Slide, please. We invite you to join us at our upcoming holiday social on December the 7th. Tickets are available. We also, slide please, invite you to our new home. We love our new space and we look forward to serving our visitors and tourism partners from our new digs. Slide please. And we also launched a brand new brand campaign this past year called We Go Together. And that utilizes high impactful imagery and playful phrases, highlighting key trip motivators within the region. And in a moment, we'll close with a playing of our new 30-second campaign video and then be able to answer any questions that you may have. I did want to point out, though, that when I was talking about our board of directors, I think it's worth recognizing Mayor McNamara. For many years, he sat on our board of directors, and he's been a tremendous supporter and champion for not only the town of Tecumseh, but he understands the entire regional approach, for which we've been very much appreciative, and he was recognized at our AGM for doing so. So we want to thank you very much for your time this evening, and more importantly, for continuing to invest in tourism and your support of Tourism Windsor Essex Pelee Island. If you could please roll the video.
Bold reds and blue skies, city lights and county sights, bike rides and beautiful places, delicious bites and hometown favorites, hidden trails and open waters, island life and city style. Everything goes better when we go together. Plan your trip to Windsor, Essex now at visitwindsoressex.com.
Natasha? Natasha? Is that how you say it? You look
Just keep it going. Well, thank you very much, and I'll certainly open up the floor, but I want to, first, pretty modest, Gord, I want to, once again, I know it's been showcased and at the county when you were there, but congratulations on you being recognized provincially. And, you know, when you look at your team, you know, you think you've got a huge machine behind you, and that's not the case. You got a great support staff, you know, to do what you need, what needs to be done in the region. TWEP's done a phenomenal job in promoting our area, and it can't be said enough as well is that through probably 3 of the toughest years you'll probably ever experience in the hotel and hospitality industry, where COVID it brutalized the industry, but you never and these 3 here have never said no to trying to move the needle, and you've done some phenomenal work, and has been recognized not on us here locally, but certainly as benchmarks for other tours folks. And I'm glad that they're a little bit behind us, because it's more important for us to be ahead of the game and not behind the game. But kudos to you and certainly the board, past and present, for seeing the initiatives and working hand in glove to get our industry back on its feet, and to be able to sustain grants and opportunities, and those were key components that kept a lot of the industry afloat. You know, the staycation program, I think, was a huge success in basically telling folks that, you know, we're still open for business, a little bit of different business, but we're open for business. And so the organization has done a wonderful job for us. So, you know, as they say, money well spent. And now hopefully it's blue skies, and tomorrow is going to bring us some great opportunities, because the region is phenomenal. Because if one thing taught even myself on the staycation piece itself was the hidden gems that were actually out there that I didn't even realize we had. And so now it's for all of us, we're all ambassadors of this region when we go anywhere, and then I'm looking forward to working with TWEPI in 2024 for 2 big events that are happening here. Our baseball national championships, the Canadian championships coming, and for everybody, get your fishing poles ready, because the Hobie Fishing World Championships are coming here, and there'll be 26 countries coming into our community and our region. And I'm sure that TWEPI will be front and center, and to showcase this region for folks to come back, you know, not just for these tournaments, but to visit. It's such a wonderful place to come. And we always wonder why we go to different places around, and what brings you there. Then for us, it's an opportunity for us to showcase this beautiful region, whether it's wineries and beautiful parks, the greatest waterways anywhere. And one thing we did learn when the folks from the fishing derby were here, the Hobie boats, that St. Clair is the 3rd best sports fishing lake in the world, not in Canada, in the world. And we need to exploit that, and I'm sure TWEPI is going to do that for us. So once again, on behalf of all of us, thank you, you know, for what you do, and continue to promote our region, and anything that we can do to help, we're here. Go ahead, Rico.
Just a comment. First of all, congratulations, Gord, on your award. Well deserved. And secondly, I've always enjoy your presentations. You guys are very professional, informative, and entertaining to watch what you have to present to us. So always a great job from all 3 of you. So thank you very much.
Then a motion to receive their presentation. Councillor Houston, Councillor Jobin, all in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you very much. And I'm sure, I don't know if this is the end of your tour, or,
We were in LaSalle earlier tonight, so thank you for accommodating us. And now we've got 5 more.
oh, okay. I was gonna say, well, you know, now you can rest, but I guess it's just the beginning.
We're going to go have a drink. Thank you very
Take care. All right, members, we'll move on to communications. We have communications 1 and 2, but we have communications A, B, C, and D. And can I have a motion to receive said information? Moved by Councillor Dorner. Councillor Higginson, do you support on the motion? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Any information or communications you'd like to bring forward? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Mayor. I'd like to pull item D, the letter from Adam Murad regarding the Shawana Park playground equipment, and just I have a two-part question for administration, if they can indulge in terms of the, just to clarify in terms of the process that's been taken regarding the playground equipment, not only here, but other parks as well, Busterium and Optimist. So are you able to maybe, Ms. Geniak, share the process and rationale in replacing the various playground equipment? And the second part, is there an ability in the future to defer replacing playground equipment that is still in compliance in order to maximize budget dollars for future capital purchases? So in terms of just, in terms of moving forward, what we can see, and if there's an ability to do that regarding these structures.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, through you, Mr. Mayor, to answer the question. There's a process that our department uses, which is not dissimilar from other communities. And the process really starts with annual safety inspections. We use a company called PlayCheck. They go around, they inspect all of the 22 play sets that we have every year. And they're really looking for ongoing compliance with the CSA, with the standards. Now, many of our play sets, in fact, 12 of our 22 play sets are older than 15 years. And over that period of time, some of the Canadian standards have changed. And as a result, the play set equipment design has changed in response. So, I would say, so it starts with inspection reports and compliance with CSA standards. When we find playground equipment that may not comply and can be repaired so that it does comply, we undertake those efforts first. If we find equipment that is in need of repair and is within standards, then of course we repair. Safety being, number one. So, inspection reports, compliance with those standards, and making sure that we're paying attention to that. Number one, safety is paramount. The next thing that is considered is the type of park. Neighborhood parks are much smaller parks. They typically have smaller footprints that we would look to animating versus a community park or a regional park. Typically, you'll see the play sets at community parks such as the park on St. Greg's, Optimist Park, Lacoste Park. Those play set structures are considerably larger. Those are much larger parks. They also have adjacent uses within the park. And by that I mean soccer fields, baseball diamonds, community centers, libraries, etc. So, they're situated typically within neighborhoods, but also the parks that they're in have adjacent uses. So the size of a play set equipment is determined, again, by the type and classification of park. And then lastly, we look at the age of equipment. And typically, play sets are designed for an average lifespan of 20 to 25 years. In our climate, that's a reasonable expectation. Fortunately, we don't live in a climate where it's -40 for months of the year. So we're able to get, a longer life cycle out of our play set equipment. So, typically those are the considerations. This particular play set has actually been on the records as far back as 2017 as being identified for replacement in budgets. And in subsequent capital reports, the dollar figure assigned and allocated to this playset increased over that period of time in order to reflect what was known at that time to be the increases in playset equipment costs. So in terms of compliance within budget parameters, you know, as we do every year, every department brings forward our capital requests to council based on a number of factors: community need, community requirements, safety, not only for play sets, of course, all of the other amenities that we find in our parks. And at that time, council makes a recommendation, tells and instructs administration in terms of what the budget envelope will be for any given year and what the capital projects will be for any given year. Now, going forward for our play sets, you know, we're going to add an element to the considerations here, simply for two simple reasons. Number one, the cost of play set equipment has increased exponentially. And there are also supply chain issues that are not unique to the playset equipment supply chain. Both of these things are actually impacting our ability to receive and obtain playset equipment within previously approved council budget parameters, and secondly, to be able to receive ordered equipment within acceptable timelines due to supply chain issues, which are global in nature. The companies that we're working with are not only Canadian companies or North American. Some of those companies may be procuring either raw materials and or aspects of playset equipment from other places globally. That's typical of a global supply chain. So we're taking a look at how we might be able to assess and determine the sequencing and cycle for playset equipment, which might mean realistically that playsets might have to have a longer shelf life if they remain in safe condition, if they are determined to be safe and within acceptable CSA guidelines per those annual inspection reports, for the simple reason that we are likely going to need to have to save money year over year in order for us to be able to compile a large enough budget so that we can actually accommodate replacement sets in ways in which the community might expect to see them. While our current Parks Master Plan does not declare anywhere that playset equipment would be identified as like for like or similar for similar or same for same, we understand that the playability and the different types of amenities that are found on a playset equipment, that certain neighborhoods have come to be accustomed to those. In some cases, it is not possible to find like for like or similar for similar in those exact configurations, and we may need to piece together playset equipment over a period of time, as we go along. So this is one of the reasons why the team is embarking on a playset replacement program. You may start to see some different cycling in terms of timelines for when we may be recommending playset replacement as a result of these factors. But I want to rest assured, not only to you, but to the residents of this community, that my team remains firmly committed to ensuring that children have a safe place to play when they go out into our parks and playgrounds, and that is our primary concern. Playability, diversity of playability, and ensuring that playsets are able to be provided to meet the very diverse needs of our population also remains a consideration. So, there's complexity here, and I can appreciate that, kids want to play, and we want kids to play. We want them to play well and to have fun, and from that perspective, but we as a department also have an obligation to be able to provide a safe place for people to play within the approved budget parameters that are provided to administration from yourselves as council.
Thank you very much. Just as a follow-up, Ms. Geniak, so in terms of residents, if they want to be involved or give suggestions in terms of future capital purchases, what would you recommend that they do? The city works, or would it be through communication through the Parks Department?
I'm gonna jump in on that one and answer the question. There is a process, and,
Yes.
We all looked at the capital that we're spending in the capital with parks and a whole host of other things. $21 million, and we agreed to that, and this is not the forum to make that decision. The forum's that when we're going to sit down and when the budget's being presented to us, that'll be the opportunity for us to look at, any other parts, because I am, and I'll be very honest and blunt, I am not for reducing another park to add to another, or reduce the amount of work that we're doing in turfing a park and so forth. Those are important. Those were done, voted on, and moved on. Now, to that point. So I don't want to get into a huge debate here, like on that in particular, but that's the process, like anything else. And everybody knows around the table, you want to add a sidewalk, or you want to add a street light, or you want to add something. Well, what do? We refer that to budget, and that's when we have the discussion, so that is the process. And it's an opportunity as well to the general public, who want amenities and so forth, to come and present at that particular time. Now, does that guarantee that that's going to happen? No. But that is a channel that, at the end of the day, we should follow, and that's where decisions are going to be made. And as you know, this year, this is a tough year. It's going to be a tough year. I hope that folks at home are sitting down when they see what's coming forward. We know what's coming from LaSalle and those numbers, and I'll tell you, it's not unique to us, certainly in that regards, but I think there's an expectation, whether, we have a lot of parks in our system, there's an expectation in those other parks where we've dated them, and we said we're going to be replacing equipment or repairing it. And if council's wish is to say, I'm going to postpone your park for a year or two to add someplace else, that's not the correct way of doing it. The correct way of doing it is finding the money. And this is not the process. The process is that budget. That's when we're going to make the decision, at the capital budget. Councillor Jobin?
Thank you, and through you, if I could just add to that as well. Thank you, Ms. Geniak, for the specific information and the details surrounding how it's not just about like for like. And when we talk about budget time and tax increases, I take kind of a liking to the resident who is advocating for this one specific interest, but it's our responsibility and obligation when we are considering budget, what is a want and what is a need. There's certain things in my ward specifically that are, to me, more important than an aesthetically appealing playset in another part of the municipality. So it's all about our responsibility and our obligations as well to define wants and needs and how we are allocating the dollars and what's really important to the safety of our entire municipality. Thank you.
And I apologize, Deputy Mayor, for jumping in, but I think that, the process, I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. The question was asked for that simple answer, and so whether Ms. Geniak gave it or yourself, obviously it is a budget item, a capital purchase, but in terms of, not one specific park, but any parks, if residents do want to enhance their equipment in the future, I trust Ms. Geniak's process in terms of getting the involvement of the neighborhood is there, and there's that opportunity. So that was kind of my thrust in terms of the question. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just to complement the mayor's response, the process is to make a delegation request at the time that the capital budget would be brought forward to council so that they have the entire picture, to Councillor Jobin's point, in front of them, and that has been communicated to this particular letter writer.
All right. No action. Really, I don't have updates at County Council. I don't know if there's anything at this stage. I can do a report on the waste management. We did have a board meeting there. basically, 2025 is coming, and one of the issues that was well discussed at the board meeting was the circular economy piece itself. Under the new regime, the other, the producer's responsibility, as we know, the blue box is being relieved from municipal hands and then going into the producer's hands and so forth. The issue at hand is trying to realize from the government that how to involve the BIAs now in the businesses and so forth, because they're not included within the new circular economy piece. Where's the recyclable going to go? Is it going to go to landfill instead of recycling? So there's some real discussions that are going to happen. I know that the executive director, Michelle Bishop, is meeting with producers and ministry on November the 16th, and to have those discussions in terms of, how do we maintain the level of recycling, for people to pick up. Because as you know, as you go down, for example, Tecumseh Road, you'll see all the blue boxes from restaurants and so forth. They're all at the front. And the way it's set up now, that's not going to be the case. And so there has to be, I think, a level of understanding on how we are going to manage that moving forward. So that was kind of the thrust of the meeting itself. And then obviously the organic piece is they're looking at, what the future is going to be. So we'll keep you posted.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. At the county, there's a couple things that affect it. We received the County of Essex official plan review update. That was for policy direction. And the other one that I think is important, especially for planners here, is we directed the county staff to bring a report on how to enhance existing policy regarding tree preservation, especially in areas within a natural heritage. So that, you heard Tim Burney tonight from IRCA. The consultation is important to note. I know the mayor mentioned this at the county, that the consultation will be held with each local municipality. That will occur prior to any formal public engagement. So just be ready, they'll be reaching out to you through Ms. Belange at the county.
Sorry, Councillor Houston, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. And just one item, Councillor Jobin and I, we both sit on the intermunicipal committee. So we did have a meeting on November 1st or 2nd. We received some presentations regarding transit. We were presented information about an employment route that they may be considering. Lakeshore Council hasn't received that yet, and it will be something, I think, by the end of this year that they will be looking at, but possibly adding that on the other side, or on Lakeshore side. We're also presented some information on the, and it was a communication tonight about Lakeshore's wastewater master plan. So just presented some information. There was no asks, but they are potentially looking down the road at what possibility for mutual engagement for development 15 or 20 years down the road could be. So there was no specific ask with any of these, just really information we were provided. And the last piece was on the waste pickup. And I do think that Lakeshore is interested to possibly work with us down the road. Nothing imminently, because they are currently tendering out their garbage pickup, but I think there may be an appetite for us to work, with them next tendering. So just want to provide that for everybody.
All right, thank you very much, Councillor Houston. Okay, anything further? Then committee minutes, there's none to deal with. Reports. First report is from our Community and Recreational Services, and that's CRS 2023-20, to amend the 2023 Municipal Buildings Capital Works. And that's the CATA Library. Ms. Gignac.
Thank you, Mayor McNamara, members of council. It's my pleasure this evening to present CRS 2023-22 this evening to talk about the ongoing renovations and capital works at the CATA Library as part of the renovation. As outlined in the report, work has been underway. I want to commend Dan Walicki, Mr. Dan Walicki, who's here today, for his stellar project management here. This has not been an easy project, but Dan has managed to do a great job, not only with the architect. Our colleagues at Essex County Library are really quite pleased with the progress that has been underway so far, and I just wanted to thank you, Dan, and recognize you for your work in this space, quite literally. While these renovations have been progressing, several deficiencies have been identified, which were concealed behind building materials and other elements. These issues were unknown to us during the design phase of the project and prior to the awarding of the construction contract. So in other words, as interior walls and other structures were removed, we have found some interesting things in this older building. The report categorizes and summarizes that in great detail. I think of significance here is that we have an issue regarding exterior concrete masonry bearing wall cracks and interior masonry bearing and non-load bearing partition walls. Essentially, what we're seeing here is that the northeast wall of the building needs to be shored up, and that's a pretty significant thing. Without that northeast wall of the building, there's really no building. So it's a big deal. We've been working with structural engineers and the architect in order to come to you tonight with a prudent and pragmatic and cost-effective solution. There also have been some challenges with regard to subfloor surface inconsistencies, again, due to the age and various uses of this building over the years, and removal of some of the partition walls. The floors, the concrete subfloor is in very poor condition. Many floors are significantly sloped and are at different elevations, and it's nearly impossible to install a new floor until the subfloor issue is finished in a smooth and consistent manner to ensure pedestrian and walkability safety once the new flooring is in place. So the total value of the remediation is estimated at $125,000. This is above and beyond the amount that had been previously approved by council. That budget allocation was just over $1.2 million, and for those renovations, funded through the Life Cycle Building Reserve and the Infrastructure Reserve, along with contributions from the Essex County Library, all of which was recommended and detailed in previous report, CRS 2023-12. So the project budget allocation included a contingency budget of $70,000, but as described, some of this funding has already been applied towards other matters that had emerged prior to this incident, which is really only 3 or 4 weeks old here. So since the construction is ongoing, we need to safeguard the remaining very small balance of that contingency to support any further unforeseen circumstances for the remainder of the project. So this cost is proposed to be funded through the Infrastructure Reserve, and the recommendation we're making here is that the additional 125 is offset by an equal reduction to the cumulative approved budget of $4.26 million for my department overall capital projects previously approved for 2023. You may recall recently I brought forward a report 2023-16 talking about our 5-year capital works plan, and in that report we were deferring several very large projects for various reasons outlined in that report. The idea here is that we would fund that 125 through those deferred dollars, so this is not necessarily a net new ask on top of any budget that had previously been provided to my department for capital works. So with that, the recommendations are that the library renovation project, capital project, be increased by $125,000 to fund the repairs outlined in this report, that the requested amount of $125,000, including non-refundable HST, be authorized and funded through the Infrastructure Reserve, and further that previously approved funding in the amount of $4.26 million for planned recreation projects as identified in CRS 2023-16 be reduced to $4,010,000 to reflect funding reallocations of CRS 2023-19 and CRS 2023-20. And further, and moreover, that funding from the infrastructure reserve originally approved for $2.5 million of the 4.260 projects identified in CRS 2023-16 be reduced to $2.25 million. I'm open to take questions.
All right, thank you very much for the presentation of your report. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Geniak. That work has to be done, right?
Yes.
We got to move forward in terms of finishing the building. I know that building's been gone through a couple renovations, and with the former St. Clair Beach there, with the building there, it was used to be Councillor Tonio's workplace when he was an OPP back in the day. So, in terms of making it right, doing it right, we're in the middle of renovations. I think it's funds that I appreciate that you're able to find to be able to fulfill this capital works. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions?
Move the recommendation at the appropriate time.
Okay, thank you. Any further question, comment? No? Okay, then I'll accept the move by Deputy Mayor Bichetti, supported Councillor Houston, that on the recommendation brought forward by our Director of Parks and Recreation. On the motion, all in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried unanimous. Okay, our next report, CRS 2023-21 Lakewood Park South level of service and security of parking lot. Again, Ms. Geniak.
Thank you, Mayor McNamara. Again, good evening, Mayor McNamara, members of council. I'm reporting to you tonight on a situation that's an ongoing situation at Lakewood Park South, particularly in the parking lot of that area, which, as many of you know, is quite a large parking lot. Our records indicate that since 2020, there have been numerous incidents of public nuisance behaviors occurring in the parking lot at Lakewood Park South, primarily on the weekends from mid-May to early October, and that is every weekend between mid-May and early October since 2020. Over this time period, the Essex County North operations of the Ontario Provincial Police have reported to administration that officers have attended the parking lot at Lakewood Park South in response to 78 reported occurrences involving trouble with youth, noise complaints, i.e. music from vehicles or otherwise, open alcohol, people on the roof of the park shed, vehicle nuisance, public urination, and other similar types of behavior occurring in that part of the parking lot. While the park's bylaw 2017-13 states that all parks are closed from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. daily, enforcement has always been on the honor system, since it's difficult to monitor and almost impossible to enforce improper access at all 41 parks in our community. So since 2020, administration has met with both the OPP and residents in the immediate area on multiple occasions and have implemented several initiatives in an attempt to mitigate the situation. I want to summarize the initiatives that have been found below. In 2020, administration installed a fence between the park shed and the residential fences on the east side of the shed to prevent youth from gathering behind that shed in that area. We installed security cameras in the parking lot. We ensured that the parking lot was illuminated to assist in improved visibility from Riverside Drive. 2021 and 2022, there was ongoing monitoring by the OPP through increased presence. We've had an arrangement with the OPP for casual patrols in that space over those weekends, over that period of time. In 2023, however, those efforts were not really changing behaviors at all. And so we thought, well, let's try a couple of other things and see what can happen here. We planted hostile plant materials on town property to prevent pedestrian ingress to the resident fences on the east side of the parking lot. Unfortunately, it was those areas where some of these folks were engaging in some of their behaviors and engaging with residents who live on the other side of those fences, and not in a positive way. We also installed a divided cycling and pedestrian lane to prevent vehicles from being able to park closer to those resident fences on the east side of the parking lot, while also providing safe pedestrian and cycling access to and from that park, which was another request of the residents in the area. And lastly, we contracted a security with the commissionaires to provide parking lot monitoring and security, on-site security in that parking lot from May 25th to September 23rd for a total of 18 weeks, 6.5-hour shifts. So from 7:30 p.m. to 2 a.m. every Thursday to Sunday during that time period, or 72 shifts, we had commissionaires in that parking lot. Unfortunately, none of these efforts have reduced the number or the types of occurrences. In fact, the OPP reported they were involved in 28 calls from the commissionaires, which is more calls than they had from the previous years because there were more eyes in the park. The commissionaires informed us that the behaviors that were escalating in the parks required this additional assistance from the OPP. In other words, the people that were in the park created conditions that were considered to be unsafe by the commissionaires themselves. And they actually called the OPP to provide them with additional service and support, which the OPP did. Furthermore, of even greater disturbance, when the individuals did finally leave the area, most of the time it was under conditions of, I would say, verbal abuse to the commissionaires, ripping around in the parking lot, things of this nature. They simply relocated either to Lakewood Park North or took off for a period of time and came back. So in consultation with the OPP, I'm providing some recommendations here for consideration here this evening going forward. There are 4 things we can do. We can continue to monitor the area via complaint calls and/or nuisance calls to the OPP by residents. We can continue to request the OPP patrol the area on an ad hoc or as possible basis during those peak hours of concern from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. on weekends, in particular between mid-May or June to September. We can install additional security cameras and permanent motion sensor lighting on the lighting stands in the parking lot and on the park shed. Or we can, option 4 here is to install a permanent parking barrier arm system at the ingress-egress at both Lakewood Park South and Lakewood Park North, with time closures from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. per the park's bylaw, and also install security cameras on the lighting stands in the parking lots, both parking lots, and on the park's shed. Now, option 4 would also require us to have additional consultations with our partners at Chartwell St. Clair Beach Retirement Residence, since there's an agreement in place with that organization for their staff and visitors to use the parking lot at the northernmost edge of the Lakewood Park South lot to ensure that we can accommodate that ongoing agreement with that organization and support their ongoing use in that area, which we are most interested in doing. So we're recommending here tonight that you consider option number 4 as the most viable option for longer-term operational effectiveness and financially sustainable continued surveillance and support of safety and security in that area. Financially, I think it's important to understand that since 2020, the cost of these mitigation efforts has exceeded $26,000. That has come from the park's life cycle reserve and/or annual operating budgets, which does mean that there have been concessions that we've had to make in other areas in order to be able to fund and respond to these mitigation efforts in response to this public nuisance behavior. So at this time, I'm open for questions and consideration.
Yeah, thank you very much for the report. And the other thing that, to me, that's a great investment, only because how much money have we spent in repairing washrooms, eaves of buildings, eaves troughs that have been pulled off? How many thousands of dollars have we committed in repairs to certainly, the parks and so forth? I think it's unfortunate. It is really an unfortunate thing that, you have to take those measures, to protect, really is taxpayers' assets. That's the whole thing. I mean, at least, I hope, I don't want to speak out of turn, that these are not folks in our community that are coming in there and doing, those damage. And these are not kids. These are young adults and that are coming in there, driving their vehicles and doing what they're doing and so forth. So when you hear things about even the commissioners feel threatened, the other concern I would have too is what about all of the PSWs and nurses that work in and they work shift work that have to go into those parking lots, to get home. And so there's a security issue there too. And so I really think it's the right approach. It's money, I think, in my opinion, well spent. And I think the OPP are going to have to be, as you said, ad hoc and go into those parking lots unannounced at different times of the evenings and just discourage, that type of activity within the parks. And the only other thing I was wondering too, that something to think about in the future, and maybe this is to Mr. Wilicki in terms of that's your responsibility. We have even our own park staff that have to go in there at 10 o'clock at night and so forth on the facilities and so forth. Safety issue for them, and because we do have young ladies that work for us, within the park. Is there any thought of the auto locks, on time? I mean, you can get those. I know there's, I've seen them at FCM. They're out of Quebec, and they're washrooms that are basically they self-clean, all this other stuff. But they also lock automatically at a certain time, and then reopen, during times. Is there? So, just something that. I don't know if it'd be cost prohibitive or not, but it just, again, I'm concerned about the safety of our own employees, and plus, Chartwell staff there that use that parking lot, and they're out at midnight and, different shifts to accommodate their employment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do actually have some of those time locks for all the reasons that you've identified. And we do find them to be quite useful. The system that we would be wanting to cost out for the capital budget conversation here would be similarly timed arms for parking control arms. So it would also be timed access. If you were in the parking lot and in there prior to 10 p.m., you would be able to exit the parking lot. But the gates would come down, the arms would come down at 10 p.m. and then go back up again in the morning. And likely there would be a fob-based entry system. So we would be able to provide those fobs to Chartwell so that their staff or their visitors would be able to access that lot during the hours when the parking arms would be closed. That was what I was referencing when I'm talking about additional consultations with Chartwell to figure out what that management of that system would look like.
Excellent. Councillor Tonio and Councillor Higginson and Councillor Houston.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, as a member of the Police Service Board, I'll make sure we bring this forward to ask for extra patrols in our parks. It obviously sounds like you've done a lot of work to try and remediate this issue, and it's not working very well. It bothers me that we have people that are so disrespectful that have been brought up with the improper parenting that they think that this is acceptable to act this way. Are we assuming, or the facts are that they all are coming in cars to go do these activities, or we put up a gate and they walk there, it doesn't matter, right? So are most of the incidents are involving a vehicle coming to the spot?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor. First, I want to commend our colleagues at the OPP. They have been nothing but supportive, extraordinarily solicitous, very, very aware of the problem, and extremely helpful. They have, Jamie Smith in particular, has just been a remarkable friend to us and a friend to our park system, and has been excellent in the engagement that we've had with the residents in the area. He and the team have been extremely supportive of the commissioners, so I don't want to leave the impression here that the OPP are not doing and have not done anything and everything that they have been able to do within their own parameters. Yes, the majority of the activity is occurring through cars. This is a situation where we typically can see anywhere from half a dozen or more cars, trucks, cars, whatever, convening, coordinating their efforts and sort of locating in a particular region of the parking lot. It's a great place for donuts. And it's a great place for different kinds of behaviors. Sure, there are people who do wander into that park. It's a very large park. But typically, we don't have concerns with that type of activity occurring in that park. One of the problems and issues that we do have concerns with is those kids or those young adults are getting out of their cars, and they are starting to migrate some of their activities into the near aspects of that park. So, yeah.
So you're talking about the south parking lot, but what about the north? Are we going to do both to the south and north parking lot?
Yeah, the recommendation here is that we would do both simply because, we're moving a problem, if the problem would just move. And one of the other things that you may recall from earlier in the year when we had problems at Lakewood Park North is, people have developed a fondness for chucking picnic tables and such into the lake and engaging in other kinds of egregious behaviors down on the beach. So we're really trying to protect that overall asset. As you know, we just invested in a brand new boardwalk. There's a washroom facility there that we need to protect. We have a new sculpture on the beach in that park. We want to ensure that that is also protected. So the recommendation is that we prevent and control access, ingress and egress at both parking lots.
Thank you. Sounds very logical to me, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Higginson?
Thank you very much, and through you, thanks, Ms. Geniak, for the report and the recommendation. It is infuriating to me that we have to consider such a thing as installing a parking barrier arm on a public third space that we are losing more and more of as we go. Third spaces are places where people can go for free that are publicly accessible, and we are losing more and more of those. And the fact that we would have to put barrier arms over what I've heard from multiple people. There was just a gentleman here this evening talking about how Lakewood Park is a gem and a jewel of this community. And it is infuriating to me that we have to cut off access in a specific way to that it cannot just be a beloved place that we respect. And I begrudgingly understand the need for this, and I'll look forward to it at budget deliberations and the cost of it. I also want to impress upon the community, and I'm hoping that these aren't people from our community, it's a budget line item. It's when we're talking about taxes and the things that we pay for and the services that we get for those things. This isn't something that we want to pay for, and yet it is something that at this point it's looking like we have to after over $26,000 of other mitigation activities. It's infuriating to me. My question, I guess, is with respect to the closure on the north end and thinking about the fob access, if there are ambulances or other vehicles that may need quick access to Chartwell, is that going to be part of those deliberations with that team?
Yeah, so through the mayor to the Councillor Higginson, there's a way that we think that we can not impact any of that type of access into Chartwell. In fact, when you go there, you can see that there's two paths here. You can go into the Lakewood Park North parking lot to the left. That is actually where the arm would be placed, not at the entrance from Riverside Drive, and that would enable there to still be ambulance and or any other types of emergency vehicles and or the access to the parking that's currently available at Chartwell. So that arm would actually be placed in a different location, not at Riverside Drive. On Lakewood Park South, it would be at the entry point at Riverside Drive.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the clarification opportunity.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Houston.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to Ms. Geniak. The one thing, and I agree with what everyone has said, the one thing that I just kind of picked up on was, the cost of $21,000 this year that has come out of reserves or the operating, and it has taken away from other things that, we have done. And, if this is going to be something that we're going to have to continue to do or have the security on, I would ask that you bring it forward in the budget to make sure that the funds are there, that we're covering it off, and we're not pulling away from other things that we could be doing, because I do, as the mayor has said, it is money well spent, but I don't want to take away from other things in order to provide the safety, in our parks. The one thing that just came to mind, and I believe in the Rona or Lowe's parking lot, and I see them in the States too, there's I think it's almost like a police surveillance trailer. And I don't know if anyone else has seen these, but it's got a like a blue light on the top. So I don't know what the cost of that is, but, you know, when I go in there and I see this little blue light, right, I'm thinking the police are watching me. So I don't know if that might be something which could help in this instance, but, you know, it's a trailer with a tall tower on it, and I think it's, yeah, Rona, right? And it's got all these cameras on it. I don't know if there's anybody on the other side, but I think there is. And, you know, maybe that might be something we can put there to see if that makes an impact. But, you know, and if we can give access to the OPP or, you know, someone to, you know, to view that video live, I think would be a good thing, but I don't know the cost, but just an idea that, you know, I offer.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Houston, surveillance is expensive. And prevention of access to the space, we've been advised is perhaps the I would say, most cost-effective option in terms of that. The surveillance cameras that we would be installing per our new surveillance policy that Mr. Firth brought forward just a couple of meetings ago, you know, we would certainly be engaging in surveillance cameras at that level first. I also think it's important to note that the residents who live adjacent to that park, we tried motion sensor lights, we tried some of these kind of light prevention activities very early on this past summer. Unfortunately, the bleed back or the bounce back on the lights negatively affected and impacted their own residences. So their own enjoyment of their own backyards and their own properties were affected by some of that. So there's a tension here between, you know, lighting, surveillance, and how much light we're actually able to light that up without negatively affecting, you know, the residents who are immediately adjacent to that space. I take your comments under advisement, and I think that as we think about what a broader surveillance plan and program should look like, again, our conversations with the OPP have indicated start with preventing access first, add the surveillance cameras that you have per your current policies, and then you hopefully are mitigating any further operating impacts on an annual basis or otherwise in our budgets. So it's quite possible this could be a swap out, a capital cost for the cost of those ongoing mitigation efforts on the operating budget side. So, but understood, and thank you very much for your suggestion.
All right, any further questions or comments on the report? It's been read, I believe. And so a motion on accept, moved by Councillor Higginson, supported by Councillor Tonio. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Public Works and Engineering Services, County Road 46 Municipal Class Environmental Assessment Award and Consulting Services. Mr. Bartnick.
Thank you, Your Worship. The report before you this evening, I'll just give a brief summary and then read out the recommendations. So as Council may be aware, the County of Essex is undertaking a municipal class environmental assessment on County Road 46. The limits of which are between the City of Windsor and County Road 19. Tecumseh Council approved being the town to be part of the county's EA, which would also include the 8th concession and the 9th concession roads between Highway 401 and County Road 46 as part of the ongoing study. The municipal class EA will review stormwater management, traffic analysis, servicing, road capacities, and road safety as well. The county's RFP was posted online on August 1st and closed September 26th, with only one submission being received. The bid from BT Engineering Incorporated was reviewed by county administration and deemed acceptable. County administration will be bringing a report to County Council on November 15th, which is tomorrow, recommending County Council approve the award of the contract to BT Engineering, Inc. It is important to note that the agreement the county is bringing forward does not provide authorization for for Tecumseh's portion of the Class EA, which is specific to the 8th concession and the 9th concession roads. The total project cost for the municipal Class EA is just over $376,000. The town's component is just shy of $67,000. It's important to note that the town did budget $70,000, so we did come in under budget. With respect to the recommendations before you, it is recommended that subject to County Council awarding the County Road 46 Municipal Class EA to BT Engineering Incorporated on November 15th, that BT Engineering be retained for the engineering consulting services for County Road 46 Class EA specific to the town of Tecumseh's scope of the study, being the 8th and 9th concession roads between Highway 401 and County Road 46, in the amount of $66,720, excluding HST. And that bylaw 2023-108 be considered for first, second, third, and final reading to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute an agreement satisfactory in form to the town solicitor with BT Engineering, Inc. at the November 28th, 2023 regular council meeting. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martinek. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Motion on the recommendation. Councilor Tonio moves. Councilor Dorner support. All in favor? Oppose? That's carried. And I think we're ready for bylaws. Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before council this evening is bylaw 2023-095, being a bylaw to provide for the repair and improvements to the Shuttleworth drain, and that's for consideration for third and final reading this evening.
All in favor? Oppose? It's carried. Okay. Unfinished business? New business? Councilor Dorner and Councilor Tonio.
I just want to say a quick note that now that it's past Remembrance Day, having attended many ceremonies throughout the town of Tecumseh, I was very pleased with the turnout. I did not expect that much support, especially post-COVID and everything, but just to see everyone out was really nice feeling to see that. I recommend more people come out next year, and I'll hope to see you there. Thanks again for everyone that came out and showed their respects.
Well, Councilor Dorner, for folks that don't know, is a veteran of the Afghan war, and on behalf of all of us here and certain citizens, thank you for your service to Canada and representing our country very well. And it was nice to see you as well, front and center in supporting, your colleagues, your peers, and young and old. And so also today it was nice to see Councilor Dorner as well. The Beach Grove today actually had the members funded dinners for lunch, I should say, the veterans, and there were 3 legions there. It was about 120, 130 of our vets and legionnaires there, including Mr. Charles Davis, who is 101 years old and was front and center. He was the star of the show as we speak, and so it was wonderful again, for another community organization supporting our vets and in the community.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, thank you for your service, James. Appreciate it very much. Question I have for media: could we just possibly let the public know about our leaf collection will be done on November 30th? It seems like we always get requests after November 30th for more route, another route to be done, which costs a lot of money, and maybe we can resolve that by sending out some extra media information to the citizens that it will be done on November 30th. So collect your leaves and get them all packaged up now. Don't wait till December 1st. I think the weather is cooperating this year. You're right. Some years it doesn't cooperate.
Councilor Higginson.
Thank you. Just a quick reminder, I hope we see everybody out at Christmas in Tecumseh on Friday. I know we're excited. We're talking about our what our float will look like, so come on out and have a look and come celebrate the start of the holidays with us. Seems a little quick that we're getting to the holidays, but we are. So I would love to see everyone out and celebrating with us.
Thank you. Councillor Jobin, Councillor Houston.
Thank you, and through you. Also, just to our media, social media, it's good weather as well to secure your rural mailboxes before the snowplows go out. A lot of the time, the damage is caused by the pressure of the snow being pushed and your box is not secure. It's not so much that our snowplow operators want to go out and clip
All
your
the
mailboxes. They actually hate that because they hate having to deal with the replacement process and all that. So it is the great weather for you to go out, make sure it is secure, and even that you have shiny stickers on it so the snowplows can observe them better before the snowfall comes. So thank you.
Good advice. Councillor, go ahead, Councillor Houston.
Thank you, Your Worship. And through you, I just want to pass along a personal thank you to the CAO, Parks Department, Fire Department, and Public Works. My daughter had the opportunity on Bring Your Child to Work Day, and so she had the opportunity to attend the town. So she had a great day, and I just want to pass along a personal thank you to all those who took time out of their day, right, to spend time with her. So thank you.
You know, she signed a contract, eh? It's all done. All right, any further new business? If not, then we'll move on to confirm we got 3 readings to confirm the proceeding of this meeting. Councillor Higginson and Deputy Mayor Bichetti. All in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. Any notices of motion? If not, our next meeting will be Tuesday, November 24th. We had a PMP committee meeting, 4:30, and a regular council meeting start on November 24th. So until then, adjournment's in order. Councillor Houston, Councillor Dorner, all in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. And bid you good night.